It's the time of the audience where you get the time of the show where you get to find out who all of these incredible people who performed tonight opened for. And this is the first time he's ever performed here without bringing his guitar down, so we're looking forward to seeing what he's got in mind here. Let's have a warm welcome for him. Grinnell, everybody.
Gary.
Hello?
Yeah. As Gary pointed out, usually when I'm up here I have a guitar. I must have left it in my other suit. So tonight I am going to sing some songs a cappella. This is an Italian phrase which loosely translated means, no backup, kid, you're on your own. 3 songs, one serious, the other 2 not so much. We'll start with a serious one. This is by Joni Mitchell from her 1969 album Clouds. It's called The Fiddle and the Drum. And so once again, my dear Johnny, my dear friend, and so once again you are fighting us all. And when I ask you why, you raise your sticks and cry, and I follow, my friend. How did you come to trade the fiddle for the drum? You say I have turned like the enemies you've earned, but I can remember all the good things you are. And so I ask you, please, can I help you find the peace and the star? Oh, my friend, what time is this to trade the handshake for the fist? And so once again, oh America, my friend, and so once again you are fighting us all. And when we ask you why, you raise your sticks and cry, and we follow, my friend. How did you come to trade the fiddle for the drum? You say we have turned like the enemies you've earned, but we can remember all the good things you are. And so we ask you, please, can we help you find the peace and the star? Oh, my friend, we have all come to fear the beating of your drum. That song was written 50 years ago, and it sounds topical today, unfortunately. Okay, this next song is by Brian Bowers, or it would be more accurate to say it's a song I learned from a Brian Bowers album. The song was written by a man named Mark Graham. Brian Bowers must really like Mark Graham's songs because he did 5 of them on this one album. This one's my favorite. It's sort of a history of the universe in 3 minutes. It's called The Big Band Theory. Many billion years ago, in what we call the days of yore, the view was so uncluttered and pristine. The universe was void, nary one stray asteroid. Creation friends had yet to make the scene. Then with a rude and primal hiss, some fundamental orifice blasted forth effluvium and gas. So call it what you may, but for now just let us say, the cosmos in its glory came to pass. It was on that fateful day the earth was set upon its way, a pleasure cruise upon the cosmic sea, with Jupiter and Mars and a cast of well-known stars to keep their little buddy company. The director of the cruise kept them thoroughly amused, and delighted were they with the bill of fare. They were certainly surprised when they finally realized they'd booked a one-way trip to God knows where. Being molten for a term, old terra firma became firm, and oceans filled the holes eventually. The Celestial Planning Board soon came to full accord and zoned the planet residentially. When the great time-sharing plan on Condo Earth began, real estate was for the wealthy few. Now even low-class bugs and germs could afford the easy terms on a luxury apartment with a view. Time went on age by age and other creatures... I skipped a verse. It wasn't long before gigantic dinosaurs were strolling back and forth throughout the land, but their tiny cerebellum weren't big enough to tell them their terrible demise was close at hand. These tremendous herbivores ate their herbal ores, gambling about without a care, and now they can be found far underneath the ground in some forgotten geologic lair. Time went on age by age and other creatures took the stage. Gorillas, rats, and dogs were in the cast, and a naked biped, these two may not have been the least, was among the folks who took their places last. This two-legged prima donna told all the other fauna that the starring role was his and his alone. And when the others asked him why, he just pointed to the sky and said that God had told him on the phone. With his new opposing thumb and his king-size cranium, man sallied forth with grace and savoir-faire. With Promethean desire, he soon discovered fire, and arson but a single step from there. The wheel and gasoline to the full-size limousine, music, art, and law, to name a few. But name what can compare to the artistry so rare as the spare rib that has met the barbecue. Now, I would like to say we've come a long, long way from that great primeval blast way back when. But before we say farewell, I'd like to know just where the hell this roller coaster ride is going to end. Will we all be blown away on some atomic judgment day, or sally forth through space in high renown? But where'er we finally go, one thing I truly know, we'll find some way to go there sitting down. The third song comes with a little backstory. For many years, my parents had the habit of listening to folk music programs on the radio, mostly on NPR, and recording songs that they liked. Well, a few years ago, I took a stack of my parents' cassette tapes, and does anybody remember cassette tapes? I took a stack of their tapes that they recorded these folk music shows on, and I copied the songs onto CDs. Anybody remember CDs? Well, when I copied these songs for my parents, I kept copies for myself. Don't tell the FBI. And this is one of those songs. It's called Our Hamlet. No, it's not about a small town. It's about the Shakespeare play. And for a long time, I had no idea who wrote this song or performed it, because when my parents recorded these songs off the radio, they didn't bother including the announcer saying who the songs were by. But I did some internet research and discovered the song was written by a Scottish singer named Adam McNaughtan, and this particular recording of it was done by a man named John Roberts, a British singer named John Roberts. Now, of course, Mr. Roberts sang it in a British accent, but my wife threatened to stay home tonight if I tried to do that, so we'll skip that. I do need to just point out one thing. There's a reference in there which is totally obscure to American audiences. I had to look it up. It's something called 784. Turns out that's a Scottish left-leaning theater troupe. The idea has to do with 7% of the population controls 84% of the wealth. So that's what that reference is to. So, our Hamlet. There was this king sitting in his garden all alone, and his brother in his ear poured a little bit of henbane, stole his brother's crown and his money and his widow. But the dead king walked in, got his son and said, "Hey, listen, kiddo, I've been killed and it's your duty to take revenge on Claudius. Kill him quick and clean and tell the nation what a fraud he is." The kid says, "Right, I'll do it, but I'll have to do it crafty so that no one will suspect me. I'll kid on that I'm a dafty." So to all except Horatio, and he counts him as a friend, Hamlet, that's the kid. He kids on, he's round the bend. And because he isn't ready for obligatory killing, he tries to make the king think that he's tuppence off the shilling. Takes a rise out of Polonius, treats poor Ophelia vile, tells Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Denmark's a bloody jail. Then a troupe of traveling actors like 784 arrive to do a special one-night gig in Elsinore. Hamlet, Hamlet, loves his mommy. Hamlet, Hamlet, acting balmy. Hamlet, Hamlet, hesitating, wonders if the ghost's a cheat, and that is why he's waiting. Then Hamlet writes a scene for the players to enact, so Horatio and he could watch to see if Claudius cracked. Well, the play was called The Mousetrap, not the one that's running now. And sure enough, the king walked out before the play was through. Now Hamlet has the proof, his uncle gave his dad the dose. The only problem being now that Claudius knows he knows. So while Hamlet tells his mother her new husband's not a fit one, Uncle Claude takes out a contract with the English king as hitman. Then Hamlet killed Polonius. The concealed corpus delicti was the king's excuse to send him for an English hempen necktie with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to make quite sure he got there. But Hamlet jumped the boat and put the finger straight on that pair. When Laertes heard his father had been stabbed in the arras, he came running home to Elsinore, toot sweet hotfoot from Paris. And Ophelia, with her dad killed by the man she was to marry, after saying it with flowers, she committed Harry-Carry. Hamlet, Hamlet, no messin'. Hamlet, Hamlet, learn his lesson. Hamlet, Hamlet, Yorick's crust convinced him that men, good or bad, at last must come to dust. Then Laertes lost his place and was demanding retribution. The king said, keep your head, I'll provide you a solution. So he arranged a sword fight for the interested parties, with a blunted sword for Hamlet and a sharp one for Laertes. To make double sure the old belt and braces line, he fixed a poisoned sword trip and a poisoned cup of wine. The poisoned sword got Hamlet, but Laertes went and muffed it, 'cause he got stabbed himself, and he confessed before he snuffed it. Then Hamlet's mommy drank the wine, and as her face was turning blue, Hamlet said, I believe the king's a baddie through and through. Incestuous, murderous, damned Dane, he said, to be precise, and made up for hesitating once by killing Claudius twice. 'Cause he stabbed him with his knife and forced the wine between his lips. He said, the rest is silence. That was Hamlet had his chips. They fired a volley over him that shook the topmost rafter. And Fortinbras, knee-deep in Danes, lived happy ever after. Hamlet, Hamlet, ain't it gory? Hamlet, Hamlet, end of story. Hamlet, Hamlet, I'm on my way. If you thought that was confusing, you should read the bloody play.